Ladies and gentlemen, we present the top three oral presentations. This is team number 17, 44. The team captain is Rachel. Rachel will now introduce the rest of the team.
Hi there, I'm Rachel, and this is my team, Kara, Bonzi, Lorena, and Elise. And now Kara is going to begin our presentation.
Hello, we are your Frederick County District Conservation Planners. You have tasked us with the enhancement of not only your existing operations, but your future endeavors into this farm. Our first goal is to renovate your corn maze. We want to increase the complexity of the designs to your maze. We believe an annual divisional competition throughout the age groups, which rotates each year, will bring in a community aspect to your farm. The winner gets to have their design used for the next maze, and gets to be the first to explore it. We can also have local artist divisions to get people of all ages in your community involved. Next, we want to help you implement a pick-your-own apples orchard. We believe a pick-your-own orchard would thrive in your area, with you being the only establishment like it in your community. Also, we have already chosen a potential site for your orchard, and we believe this area would be the most ideal conditions for that type of operation. We can also lower wasted apples by having juice producers using the apples dropped by apple pickers. This will increase productivity and reduce wastage. Next, we want to implement the new building you desired for dinners, meetings, and other similar events. We have a site chosen that we believe will suit your desires in the best way possible. We want to make this a three-option event center with an indoor, an outdoor, and a middle-of-the-road room with open windows allowing sunlight in. We also want to help you add in new buffers as desired, with incorporated zones, which my colleague Rachel will elaborate on later. We want to stress that grasses and trees doesn't have to be an either-or decision for your buffers. Your riparian buffer can thrive with both types of vegetation. We also want to include pollinator plants to attract other pollinator insects. As stated by the United States Department of Agriculture, or the USDA, more than 30% of our food relies on insect pollination. Lastly, we want to ensure long-term involvement with your community. We will do this by having volunteers come to the farm and help out, Also, we can have high school and college-age students come and use your farm for their research for the betterment of agricultural science. Furthermore, we'll have social gatherings to bring in all ages of people from different walks of life into your farm.
As stated by Andy Wright from the Modern Farmer Corporation, ag attractions such as corn mazes can pull 2/3 of the farm's income, and by you being a participator of these attractions, our first goal for you is to renovate the corn maze that's on your farmland. You have considered moving your corn maze in order for a new and improved one. It is with our best recommendation that you don't have to expand it to improve it. By keeping the cornfield the same size, it won't cut into more production of the other parts of the land. With that, we can lead with this next opportunity. By just changing the structure of the maze, you can promote it to the community to come up with designs for you. By involving the community with your attractions, you are sparking great ideas and good influence to the citizens of all ages. These divisional designs can be broken up from elementary school students competing for a first place prize to have their maze designed and implemented, plus being the first class to play the field. Local artists can also graphically design the cornfields, and other possibilities are being used to include your community for your entertainment. Because a cornfield is more than just a confounding walk, it's an experience those have to make decisions together and solve problems with one another. Now, by making a new maze every cutting season, it may be labor intensive. It was a great cause of the historic Hawes Farm that has said that cutting a maze solo may toil for a week. Luckily, there are several businesses such as the Maze Cooperation Incorporated that helps farmers build the maze voluntarily. We hope you take into consideration of our recommendation because it promotes community outreach, is less labor intensive, and creates a good model for future farmers to follow, which will fulfill our goal of renovating the corn maze.
Currently, on your farm, there has a successful agritourism program with a corn maze, creamery and shop, playground, and space for field trips. We're also interested in adding a new structure for family events, meetings, and educational activities. As the Frederick County District Conservation Planners, We have come up with a plan for the location and design of the event center. A northwestern field on your allotment sits on lighter northwest soils. These series are moderately deep to very deep, well drained with no flooding or water saturation to a depth of 72 inches, and have a low street swell capacity, meaning they do not expand significantly after rain events. There are gentle slopes in this area ranging within 3 to 8%. So we do acknowledge that the land should be level for the building in the 3% areas, which can further be decided after a field assessment.
In addition to soil suitability, the position of the proposed multi-purpose event center sits in a quiet area on your farm, surrounded by trees and sequestered from the neighboring houses on the other side. Additionally, it is less than half a mile from your creamery. The Hearst Event Center will be the perfect place for education, family gatherings, and other events, that which the space should be rented out for another income source. Moreover, through the proper implementation of best management practices, or BMPs, such as roof runoff systems and the landscape architecture, this space will be aesthetically pleasing and environmentally conscious, just like the rest of your acreage. A roof runoff system collects and controls excess water from farm buildings, and in this case, we propose the redirection of this water to rain gardens in heavy runoff areas around the building. These can be filled in with flowering plants that can be planted and maintained with the assistance of volunteers of all age groups. In fact, the people involved with your farm will be just as diverse as the species that they plant.
You have also expressed interest in expanding your operation to include a pick-your-own apple orchard. As the Maryland Orchard Directory identifies, though a surplus of apple orchards surround your establishment, none are yet designated as pick-your-own. While we are still in the planning and discussional stages, let us look at the land and the traits of these apple trees design. The Penn State Extension has stated that low hills of deep, well-drained loamy soil is the ideal mix for orchards. And by examining the Frederick County Soil Survey information for your area, my team has deemed the northeast field of Hagerstown silt loam dominated soils as the most profitable location for your apple orchard. This parcel we approximate to be 3 acres, ranges from 3 to 8% slopes, ideal for providing the rolling ridges to elevate your trees from cooler air forces, which can bring about extreme frost damage. The soil series has deep and very deep soils which are well drained, allowing the roots to receive their proper aeration, and these silt loams have a moderate water holding capacity, which we plan to improve upon with drip and trickle irrigation, which is, although an expensive practice, is often worth its salt, so to speak, for growing specialty crops. As experienced orchard farmer Bobby Black did say, the main issue with pick-your-own orchards is the waste. Following his success with the popular apple orchard, he has offered to donate the apples left behind from groups and parties to juice companies, significantly reducing the waste. For cost share to begin your orchard, there is the Maryland Agricultural Resource-Based Industry Development Corporation, MARBIDCO. Their focus is helping farmers expand their operation by paying up to half the cost for equipment and facilities, with figures of $2,500 capping out at $15,000.
Now that you know where we plan to establish your orchard and where the plan is, I will discuss our measured plan for your orchard. First, we would like to plant an estimated total of 1,020 dwarf apple trees on the estimated 3 acres of suitable land. And according to Bobby Black, dwarf apple trees can produce as much as up to 2 times as its normal counterparts. We were able to acquire this estimate by using the Penn State Extension tree spacing table with an 8 by 16 spacing, which was recommended by the Maryland University Extension for dwarf apple trees. And with this spacing, each tree at full maturity will be able to produce 3 to 4 bushels, and that can add up to 3,060 bushels to 4,080 bushels over the whole orchard. Though some of these apples will be lost due to the nature of the pick-your-own marketing system. But there are a couple of different strategies to help offset these losses. One strategy is to charge a small fee to enter into your orchard, which will compensate for the lost apples. For the rest, you can harvest them yourself and sell them to your creamery by bushel or by weight. Though growing apples is not that simple. You'll have to deal with pests, fruits fruit thinning, and pollinators. First, pests. There are many different types of pests that can damage your orchard, though just using pesticides can do more harm than good. So, with the use of integrated pest management, or IPM, you can effectively manage these pests. Next is fruit thinning, which is the removal of certain fruits to increase the size of others. And according to the Penn State Extension, thinning fruit is required to ensure large marketable fruits and flowering in the following year. And finally is pollination. Without pollination, there would not be any fruits to harvest. So it is paramount to properly manage pollinators and their habitat, which can be as easy as decreasing pesticide use, or as large as implementing designated sections of pollinator habitat on your land.
You have expressed a desire to expand your riparian buffer system by 35 to 100 feet to manage sedimentation with either trees or grasses. Well, according to the Maryland Cooperation Extension Fact Sheet 728, the greatest overall environmental benefits are achieved when grasses are used in combination with trees and incorporated with conservation practices. For this reason, we are proposing a 3-zone system in the expansion process, at which the cost of implementation can be offset with the use of various grants or cost-share programs. These being the Maryland State Buffer Initiative, or BIP, the Maryland Agricultural Cost-Share Program, or MACS, and Section 319 of the Clean Water Act, which awards grants for the implementation of conservation practices directly influencing the chemical, physical, or biological integrity of a water body. In the area between your field and the water source, like your stream, there is excellent potential for the establishment of warm-season grasses for wildlife habitat. This includes cover, which is vital for mating, brooding, and feeding. The United States Fish and Wildlife Service has found that much of the decline seen in ground-nesting birds results from a lack of cover. By planting native grasses and broadleaf herbaceous plants and wildflowers, you meet the needs of various birds, small mammals, and valuable pollinator species, all while trapping sediment. This would begin Zone 3. We're moving inward, much like we would if we were walking towards a stream. Zone 2 provides long-term storage of nutrients in the woody biomass of trees and shrubs. This zone allows water to infiltrate into the soil so that waterborne nutrients are absorbed and cleansed before reaching your stream. In Zone 1, the most inward part, larger trees can be planted to stabilize the stream bank, provide shade and cool water temperatures, and also provide stream-side habitat for both wildlife corridors for terrestrial and aquatic organisms. This 3-zone concept provides a general framework for planning and grouping different types of plantings. When combined with the financial assistance programs that I outlined earlier, it becomes beneficial to your pocketbook, downstream waterways like the Chesapeake Bay, and pollinators.
Pollinator habitats is an BMP that will be alongside your riparian buffer streams, provide aesthetic beauty, and helps bees on your orchard. A case study issued by the USDA has stated that honeybee pollination alone adds more than $15 billion in value to agricultural crops each year. So we stress that the pollinator habitats are of importance to your farmland and for years to come. A pollinator habitat is a conservation practice established for food and cover resources for wildlife. By having a diverse species of bees on your farm, there will be a stable amount of pollination services year-round, promoting the tolerance of your environment through climatic conditions. Bees need a food source for a majority of the year in order to thrive. Plants that have early, mid, and late growing seasons along the riparian streams, the bees have a good food source throughout the year. Ground nesting bees, such as cellophanes, can use service berries early in the season alongside tunnel nesters such as carpenter bees that can pollinate goldenrod late in the year. This way, the bee species aren't dependent on the apple tree bloom that occurs from mid-April to May. The USDA Apple Orchard Conservation states that over 100 of the native 450 bee species in Maryland pollinate on apple orchards. So by diversifying the pollinator habitats for bees, you're strengthening for source for quality apples on the orchards. You can apply for cost-share programs such as the Environmental Quality Incentives programs to help with this addition to your farmland, as stated by the 2014 Farm Bill. These pollinators play a vital part in your goals for your farm. Now, my colleagues Kara, Lorena, and Rachel will conclude with the environmental, economic, and social benefits of your farm.
Let us take a step back. Today, my team has outlined environmental, economic, and social aspects and benefits of our plan. Our ideas are not only economically viable, but environmentally beneficial. The new building you want to add will have several BMPs in place, such as roof runoff structures, which will collect and control rainwater. Also, we will be using landscape architecture, ensuring that the hardscape will not only leave the greenscape unaffected, but will leave it benefited. Furthermore, the orchards we'll plant on your farm, will have several BMPs in place. One of those will be drip irrigation. While it may not be cheap, apple trees benefit from them the most, making it cost effective because it's also water efficient. We also want to implement access control roads with wagon rides to and from the orchards, limiting compaction by foot traffic. And as both me and my colleague Lorena have stated, we want to allow juice producers to pick up fallen apples to use in their operation. Lastly, the riparian buffer system. With a tree and grass mix, it will increase environmental benefits. It will also improve water quality by reducing sediment getting to the stream, which will later flow into the Chesapeake Bay. After all, it was the Maryland Clean Agriculture Coalition that stated, agricultural runoff is the biggest polluter of the Chesapeake Bay. The buffer will also bring in pollinators, increasing aesthetic value as well as biodiversity on your farm.
For the economic side, the first farm business improvements that I would like to discuss is the corn maze, which Monty has explained earlier. Our plan is not to move the corn maze, but to make it more community involving by holding annual contests for maze designs, with sections for school age, local artists, and community-wide patrons. We hope this involvement will spark interest in the maze and other activities on your farm. The second is the new event center, which will bring about direct revenue from renting to parties and groups, and indirect from a strategic location close to the farm creamery and shop. The Pick Your Own Apple Orchard will bring an additional income source to the farm, with a cost likely attached to both the admission and actual bags filling. And lastly, the buffer system expansion, as likely as it may seem, can also bring money into the farm, with sources like the Maryland Agricultural Water Quality Cost Share Program, the Nutrient Trading Program, which you can use to sell extra credits for nutrient contribution decreasing, and Section 319 of the Clean Water Act, which provides grant money for any practice that improves the biological, chemical, or physical health of the water body. As stated earlier in our presentation, we plan to incorporate pollinator habitat in the extended buffer system, which will diversify and increase the populations of valuable pollinators on your farm, giving them a year-round food source.
Today, my team has done an excellent job at establishing clear goals that meet the objectives of you, the producers. We have established the environmental benefits of implementation of conservation practices, as well as financial avenues of which you can take to implement these practices. What we have yet to cover, however, are the social aspects of agricultural soil and water conservation stewardship. The Chesapeake Bay program estimates that in the year 2030, there will be 20 million people living in the Bay's watershed. This accounts to 1,300 pounds of waste to be treated per year per new resident. This is important. It's going to be a part of our lives. As the grayscape expands and more pressure is put on producers to do more with less, it is important that we recognize the contributions of producers like yourself that invest in environmental justice. All too often, we see that environmental regulations are reactionary, voluntary, and generally insufficient to satisfy both the environmental needs and the needs of the producer. This is why it is truly honorable that you have chosen a path of conservation. We also need to bring up the importance of environmental benefits not always quantifiable by economic values. These being swimmable waters, wildlife observation, and green infrastructure. Green infrastructure increases in value over time, unlike its red counterpart. This is why, by inviting people into your apple orchard, onto your first event center, and onto your livelihood, you invite them to see you as more than an example to your community, but an example to the world. Thank you for listening to our presentation. We'll now take any questions you may have.
First question, if you could have any one more piece of information to help you make your decisions, what would it have been?
I believe that when we were making our plan, it was part of the map that we were given to be able to see exactly where practices were being implemented. We were basing our findings off of the soil survey, I believe, and we were essentially estimating where we felt that most of these practices would be best put. And so if we had more information on where things actually were, we may be able to have a more detailed, specific, measurement-based practice implementation plan for you.
And if I may, that would also help us choose the most ideal locations for things like apple orchards. While we have done our best to find the best areas on your farm, we don't know everything, and we don't know where everything is placed. And who knows, maybe that area has already been occupied. So I believe a map would have helped us greatly in understanding your farm better.
What were some of the other alternatives that you considered in making your decision, and how did these alternatives shape your final decision?
Alternatives we considered were originally expanding corn maze, but we talked about it a little bit and we figured that community involvement could be better fit by increasing complexity, which Lorena actually came up with an idea.
Although we don't have, as stated earlier, a map that designates where the cornfield is, where there'd be room to move one, and what effects that have on the rest of your operation, the goal, essentially, of moving and expanding the corn maze was to bring about new interest, new revenue, and a more exciting design, for which we opened up competitions to get the community involved, to get new creative ideas, and to really teach designs and teamwork.
Also in consideration, an alternative that we had for the apple orchard was opening up a small food market and far in the area to be able to promote and advertise our apple orchard for the Pick Your Own Apple Orchard. But that is something that we'd have to see how these three goals would go before we can consider that.
Next question. In your decision, you had to weigh the political, social, economic, and environmental impacts of the different agricultural practices. Which one do you feel was the most and least important in your final decision, and why?
We feel that our team deems all three of those none more important or less important than the other. You can't have one successful thing without the other. So we see those as all equal things. You cannot consider putting these riparian systems without thinking about what you're doing to your neighbor down the street. All these three are no more important than the other.
When making our plan, we did consider each three separately and how they affect one another. We believe that you can't work the land without taking care of it. You can't make money to improve the land without working it. They work together, and how we influence our neighbors all come together in this triangle of influence.
Question number 4. How would you market the new enhancements on your farm? Who would you be your target for these new enhancements?
Well, your farm already contains a creamery that already sells many of your products already. So we can market through that as well by implementing or also selling the apples, as I said earlier, in your creamery, which you could also use other advertisement avenues that you already have established to market your apples and other new event centers on your field as well.
Additionally, the corn maze competition is something that's going to get people onto the farm. And then from there, they can go to the gift shop and creamery, they can explore the apple orchard, and basically be a part of your brand.
What other costs did you need to consider in implementing these enhancements in the farm?
Costs we considered were initial implementation, and that was economic. But socially, we considered the change of a practice of bringing people onto your farm from the apple orchard. That was a big cost that we were weighing if we would like to change the perspective of this farm in that specific area. There were also environmental costs of the implementation of a drip irrigation system that we felt would outweigh the economic costs.
With any change or no change, there's always a cost. Putting the orchard on 3 acres is going to take 3 acres of cropland or 3 acres of whatever happens to be on the map in that area. But doing nothing also has a cost in loss of opportunities, loss for growth, loss for this further outreach into the community, further outreach into environmental practices, further outreach into expansion and growth.
No further questions, judges? Let's give them a hand, everybody.
Thank you.